Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So today is Thursday, and unusual for Thursday, Rafa came in and worked about half the day today. So he actually continued focusing on the blue sparkly machine here, sitting next to its red sparkly brother. And he got the body and the pan all bolted together. And so I know that probably sounds like, a 10 or 20 minute job. You drill some holes, you put some bolts in. No, that's not really how it works on Manxes. At least if you want it to be nice and everything to look good, then pretty much what you end up doing is jockeying the body around, and then he had like a porta power across here, spreading the body in this section some, and then moving the body back, forward. We're talking like small amounts here too, just to get things as good as they're going to get. He had kind of a makeshift porta power here, spreading this area that way so that the lip of the body here would clear the Napoleon hat, because before it was pretty much like sitting right on it, which was holding the whole front of the body up, and then getting the rear spaced evenly and stuff like that. Pretty much, like the saying, measure twice, cut once. In this case, it's like measure 8 or 10 times and drill once. And that's pretty much the process to put one of these together. If you care how it looks and you want it to be incredible, then it's really kind of a long process. It's much more difficult than bolting a Beetle body to its chassis, because they fit freaking awesome. Unless it's, a car that's been wrecked or had bad metalwork done on it. If it's a good car and a straight body and a good chassis, they fit together like a glove. These buggies, not so much. I mean, these molds for these things, I imagine, were probably handmade, not maybe to the most exacting specifications. And then, essentially it's a giant piece of plastic, fiberglass technically, but it's kind of like a plastic that, when it comes off the mold, it probably warps all over the place and stuff like that. So even a really nice one like this, they don't necessarily fit that great. And the chassis isn't the issue. These chassis are made by Brian Washburn's team on a jig. The chassis are perfect, essentially. So it's just the bodies, kind of the nature of these giant fiberglass tubs. But anyway, so pretty much spent all morning jockeying this thing around, pushing here, pulling there, and then, took the leap and started drilling holes, and it looks great. So there you go. That was Mr. Rafa's morning. So thankful for him coming in here on a Thursday. So as far as me, I continued working on the Baja Bug here, and I did actually finish the one-piece windows. And so you can see here the outer scraper and the felt is in. And let's see, roll up pretty nice like that. And yeah, looks pretty nice and straight here, pretty smooth. Likewise the other side. Very happy with how these came out. The only thing where I ran into an issue where it did kind of fight me was, if you guys go back to, I think it was last week sometime, where I made a video about how I prepare these scrapers and how I do these windows, was that the extension that I made, let me walk over to the other side because this is the side that I had the issue on. So I do make like a little metal extension here so that the support that the scraper is attached to goes like all the way up into there. And I guess on this particular car, which wasn't the case on the Cowlick car, the red one, I guess that this door is a little tighter through here or something, because when I was test fitting everything and rolling the window up, it was actually catching that extra little extension piece of metal for some reason. It's kind of hard to explain, but pretty much I had to pull that out and not use it. And so this scraper, the rubber part, is actually just glued to the door. It's only from about here forward. It's not really that far of a distance, but that's pretty much how it's held in. And then there's a little bit of glue along here too, because the little rivet fasteners that I'm using stop about here. So then the metal piece is glued up to about here, and then the scraper by itself the last like inch or so, and then the rest of it's all held in with those little push fasteners. So had to modify my technique a little bit. That little extension that I was making might have been overkill, maybe not necessary, because this seems to work great without it. So if anyone's going to try and recreate what I did here, you can probably just skip that little extension piece that I make and glue it like I just mentioned. But anyway, finished that. It's working great. I think on yesterday's video, I talked about going through the carbs on this thing. It just wasn't really running that great. So I went through them, still wasn't running great. Went through them again. They were basically spotless inside. So I started kind of thinking about other things. It basically felt like when you drive it and you start accelerating through first gear, like as if you were going to shift into second, it would feel like it was running out of gas. Like it would just start sputtering, and like, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you're driving a car that's running out of gas, and then the second you let off the throttle and it would go back to idle, it would run perfectly smooth and so on. So I thought, well, it's running out of gas. So I borrowed a fuel pressure gauge from Dave Greiner over at Performance that you can just easily kind of tee into the fuel system. And the fuel pressure was a little bit on the low side. It was maybe like a pound and a half. So I bumped it up to 3 and then drove it. Made no difference at all. So from there, I started picking the brain of Mr. AJ Sims at Low Bucket, who at least used to go by Mr. Cadron. I don't know if he still uses that name or not. He's actually Mr. Fuel Injection now, which is where this fuel injection system came from. Anyway, so I started picking AJ's brain, and he mentioned to me that the kits, the aftermarket Cadron kits, frequently have an issue. And so, Impy, I'm looking at you because I think that's who this kit came from, where they're literally missing a hole in them that is supposed to be part of the progression circuit. And so the way progression circuit works on pretty much any carburetor is you've got these little holes that you can see, that you can see the butterfly kind of uncovering. So in the low speed, the very low speed, as you start giving it throttle and uncovering those holes, that's where the gas comes through at very, very low speeds. And then on Cadrons, when you start getting a little bit above those holes, what they're supposed to do is, let me get a flashlight going here. So on Cadrons, there's supposed to be a hole. Probably going to be a little hard for me to show you this, but I'll do my best. There's supposed to be a hole right. Geez, I was right. This is going to be hard to show you. Sorry, bear with me for a second here. I have no luck showing this hole. Well, you might have to take my word for it, but there is a small hole in the venturi, which I'm not having any luck focusing on. Well, let me just point to it, and then you'll have to kind of use your imagination. There's supposed to be a little hole in the venturi about, oh my God, I'm sorry guys, this is embarrassing. This is so bad here. There's supposed to be a little hole about right here on the venturi. And that is basically how progression on these works, is once you get above those little holes on the side, it starts drawing fuel through the idle jet and then through this hole in the side of the venturi as the airspeed picks up and you're starting to get a little bit of vacuum at that hole there. Well, apparently a lot of these Cadron kits now are coming. There you can kind of see the hole. There it is. I can't point to it and show it at the same time, but you see in the area where I was just pointing. Anyway, so a lot of Cadrons apparently have been coming recently where that hole, which is drilled into the venturis, is just literally missing. And so pretty much the whole progression circuit, like once you get off those little idle and very low speed holes down here, but before you start getting into the main jet, which is off of this little secondary venturi here, you're supposed to draw off that little hole on the side there. And it was literally just missing. So AJ has seen this a lot. And he actually has a little fixture where he can drill those holes in the correct location in the venturis. So I popped the venturis out and literally ran across the street to AJ's shop. He drilled those for me. I put them back together, but now it's time to finish this video and go home and eat my dinner and see my family. So I will put these on in the morning, and fingers crossed, but I think this thing is going to run awesome now, and I think that the lack of those holes perfectly would explain why it was running so bad just above idle when I started putting a little load on it. So fingers crossed, I will update you guys tomorrow evening on whether that fixed it or not. So I'm hoping that that this thing is going to run awesome now, and then pretty much wrap it up with this car and get it back to the owner and make a space for what we're going to bring in next. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your patience as I tried to show you a hole in here while holding a camera and a light. I'll try and do better next time. Anyway, appreciate you guys, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye.